Let me ask you this: 2 weeks ago, what are you learning about lineups, rotations, options, all that sort of thing that you're having to figure out right now?
Yeah, that we've got a ways to go to figure that out, which obviously can be positive, but it can be negative. It can be confusing. But I guess we're selling out at this point to continue to evaluate and not make long-term determinations as to who we think should play the most on every given night, right? I mean, because it could be different guys on different nights as we continue to watch these guys develop. Not only develop individually, but develop with one another. So we change teams every day in practice. Most drills we're changing teams. We might change within a practice 2 or 3 different times. Certain guys consistently, in all honesty, have probably separated themselves. Just a few, but after that, there's a lot of parity.
When people ask you what's the biggest difference you're seeing from this team as
Yes.
last year's team, what do you tell them?
Competitiveness. Great. I hadn't been asked that one all day, and that's,
Really?
I probably should have said it earlier at the press conference. But yeah, I just feel like these guys enjoy working. They embrace drill work, but when the ball's tipped and we start officiating and something's live, one of our drills is termed live in practice, these guys get after it. And when we end practice, for the most part, most days guys are asking to continue to go or have another competitive drill. Those are good signs.
Is that something that permeates throughout the entire team? Is there 2 or 3, maybe 4 guys who that kind of does, and the rest of them kind of feed off of that? Or
I would say it's pretty consistent throughout. If there are 4 or 5 guys that epitomize that the most, and it does permeate after those guys, I think it spreads. But Deloach, Thomason, Moncrief, Melendez, Sunahara, I mean, those guys, they love to compete. Demery, Kane, they enjoy competing with one another.
The decision to bring Justin and Noah today,
Yeah.
you know, what about those 2 guys have stood out to you, and you know, how much of a chemistry can you sense between those 2, given that they know each other?
Yeah, we need great chemistry from them. You know, they were bitty ball teammates, and we need to see some similar chemistry. A little bit higher level play, though, than when those guys were competing with one another 20 years ago, or whenever that was, 15 years ago. The decision, a little bit old, a little bit of new, right? The fact that they're very friendly with one another, the fact that they're backcourt mates. More than anything, though, as a gesture to those guys, we need leadership from them. We need them to represent us, not only as a team, but as a program.
Justin mentioned, looking back from last year to this year, he feels like leadership is one of the areas he's grown the most.
Yes.
How have you sort of seen that show up from Justin, just how he's kind of taken on a leadership role?
I think Noah has rubbed off a little bit. I think Noah's got elite leadership qualities, and he's representing our program with some of those SEC leadership opportunities. I asked him as we landed, have you been to Birmingham? He said, yeah, Coach, I've been up here for some of those leadership conferences. As a reminder, I'd forgotten.
Right.
But he's got great characteristics along those lines, and I think it's rubbed off with some of the other guys, returners, especially the young guys. But Justin's grown, been more consistent daily in practice. He's strung together a bunch of good practices, learn how to pick his spots, when to be vocal, and when to lead by example.
how was RJ's game translating? He was all world on the D2 level. How was he translating that
Sure.
talent to right
Sure.
now this level of play?
So he is Sonny. RJ, not to be mistaken,
Yes,
right,
okay.
is RJ
That's
Melendez.
right. Get those two confused.
Right, and if you said that in front of
Yeah,
Melendez, he
yeah.
might snap at you.
Yeah.
So Sunahara,
Yeah.
he goes by Sonny.
Sonny,
He took
okay.
it. He took it for the team.
Okay.
And
I was about to say you got me confused.
yeah,
I mean, forgot they're both
kind of fits his
RJs
personality
there.
too,
It does, yes.
and where he's from. But a leader by example, not as vocal as Noah, but talk about a guy that's just out there trying to make winning plays and gel and fit. He's glue. He's a very, very accountable player. Like, he's flying to the offensive glass, he's closing out with high hands, he's blocking out, he's sprinting the court. He's defensively, he's where he's supposed to be at all times. He's a hard-nosed, dependable, accountable player.
You keeping the mustache?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it served him well last season.
I was about to say, you said he wore
we
it
welcome
the
it
whole
wholeheartedly.
year, didn't, as long as they kept winning, he kept.
That's it.
Kept it, so I don't
He
know
said,
if
"Why save it?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're scouting him,
Yeah.
obviously given the fact that it's D2 versus
Yeah.
D1, you know what goes into the differences there?
A little bit of a leap of faith, honestly. Just dead honest with you. As you're watching Synergy, he's playing the 5. He's being guarded by 5s. They had a really unique style. Their tempo was incredibly fast. They pressed every possession. They're very, very random offensively. Not quite as structured, more push it right down your throat, 5 guys that can pass, dribble, shoot. And it was old school passing game, if you will, right? And so envisioning how he'd fit was a little bit more difficult than the other guys, especially given the level and the competition. I think what hit home the most was the winning experience, was the leadership qualities, was getting to know him as a young man, where he's from, who his parents are, how much they won. The kid hadn't lost in so long. We wanted that in our locker room.
How much have you seen that, step up in the competition? Is there an adjustment for him? Have you noticed any sort of adjustment there? And what are the things that you want to see, regardless of what level, the consistency of what he's doing?
He definitely an adjustment. He's not playing the 5 for us. He's playing the 4, and he's actually played a lot of 3 in practice. A bigger 3 who's working on his ball security, learning how to continue to develop with playing within himself, right? As we're setting a lot of ball screens and we're doing a lot of dribble drive stuff. He's a guy that's learned how to save his bounce and pick his spots with doing some of those things. But he brings the competitive nature and he brings his ability to crash the offensive glass and run the court. Immediately, those things carry over pretty easily for him. And his ability to defend multiple positions. He'll guard more on the perimeter here in the SEC, but I think he's got the capability of doing so.
When we talked to Justin, he talked about a lot of emotion at practice. It kind of goes to the competitiveness that you saw earlier. What have you just seen as far as sort of that competitive nature in these practices, and what needs to be done just to kind of channel that and use it in the right way?
Continue to address it, right? Continue to talk about it when it's happening, right? And also in times when emotions have calmed, in the locker room before practice, after practice, nights before game. I mean, it's something with a competitive team. I'd rather have this problem by a landslide, right? Having to calm your guys down at times and continue to preach to these guys that it's okay to have emotions. You need more positive emotions than negative emotions, and even positive emotions. We've got to get back to level-headedness, right, where we can move on to the next play, but we can't be so emotional.
The uptick in non-conference competition, obviously, you didn't inherit any of this, I guess, aside from Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
What went into the decision to, make that jump up? And, what do you think you can learn from the team?
Confident in our guys' abilities and in our program's ability to be more competitive this year. Wanted to give our guys a chance to compete against the best, give our guys a better chance for postseason opportunities. And ultimately, we know that this is what our fan base wants as well. I mean, we want to grow this program. And in year 1, we played a pretty weak non-conference schedule. We just did. And not that it's the strongest in our league this year, but it's significantly stronger, and we want to continue to make it stronger every year.
Less than 2 weeks till that scrimmage. Just what do you want to see from this team, and what time is left before you guys hit the court for that?
Continued maturity with decision-making, with responses to adversities, with a call in practice, with a missed shot. Guys just ultimately learning how to win at a high level consistently, and then starts in practice. I like our connectivity right now. I like our selflessness. The ball's really moving. Our assist-turnover ratio in practice compared to this time last year is at the opposite end of the spectrum. We'll be much better there with decisions and ball security. Got to get better rebounding. We've been pretty good in the offensive glass. Our defensive rebounding in practice leaves a little to be desired right now to compete at the highest level in this league.
Cool. Thanks, sir.